For our Congressmember Contributions project, I chose Elizabeth Warren. She is our senator from Massachusetts. Some of her top contributors are the Massachusetts Institute of Technology at $40,844, Harvard University at $38,969, Google Inc. at $38,953, Boston University at $29,878, and Apple Inc. at $24,607. Now, some of the top industries that have contributed to her are retired, which was an interesting one. I didn't know that retired was an industry, but makes sense, I guess, at $3,731,014. Education at $1,410,921. Democratic Liberal at $645,260. Health professionals at $511,851. And civil servant public officers at $447,549. Now, the top contributors were for this last year. The top industries was something that I believe is over the lifetime course of her being a senator. Now, they did have a section of the Open Secrets website that put how much she has actually spent, how much she's actually raised, and how much cash on hand she actually has at the moment, as well as debt. So she has spent $28,279,162 since she has been in office in order to maintain office as well as push whatever agendas. Now she has raised $20,636,521. So there's an $8 million difference out of pocket, it looks like, and some change here and there. And then her cash on hand is $3,450,046. For me, that's quite a bit of money. I don't know about you. I'm living in not that good a shape here in Massachusetts. Now, in 2012, she raised $42.51 million. In 2014, she raised $3.46 million. In 2016, she raised $5.87 million. In 2018, she raised $25.64 million. In 2020, she raised $6.45 million. In 2022, she raised $5.25 million. And in 2024, she raised $8.94 million. Now, that's quite a bit of money. Now, some of the top contributors we were told to look into, or the top 5. So her top contributor was the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT has given out $2,499,024 to contributors, or people that they feel were worthy of the money. Kamala Harris got $682,948, and the DNC Service Corp got $316,901. I decided to just do 2 of the people that these top contributors are given to because the list is quite long and most of them seem to be in some sort of Democratic push, which makes sense because it seems that Democratic interest would go with a Democratic sort of person. The next contributor would be Harvard, and they've given people $4,643,545. The top person they've given money to is Kamala Harris at $1,072,363, and then the DNC Service Corp at $459,603. Next would be Google Inc. They gave people, or congressmen, senators, $3,874,301. Now, their top people that they gave contributions to were Friends of Democracy at $310,000, and then the Senate Majority PAC at $250,000. Google seems to not have too much want to push towards actual contributions towards people and tends to give them more towards organizations, which I found kind of interesting, whereas MIT and Harvard really tend to give it towards people that they wanted to help push an agenda. Now, the next person or contributor, their 4th highest contributor to Elizabeth Warren, was Boston University. They gave people $1,146,833. Their top contributions went to Kamala Harris with $374,533, and then the United Democracy Project at $60,000. Elizabeth Warren's last or top contributor there would be Apple. Apple gave people $5,315,297. Kamala Harris got $1,993,039. The DNC Service Corp got $550,399. That's quite a bit, I think. Now, what's interesting is if you start looking at expenditures from Elizabeth Warren, right? So we know that Elizabeth Warren raised $8.94 million this year, or this past year, 2024. So if we look at some of her expenditures from this past year, we'll see that media had $1,317,079. That would account for 27.76% of her expenditures. Most of that going to Meta, a little over 1 million, so 1.1 million it looks like went right to Facebook. Strategy and research got $1,005,637. That was 21.19% of her expenditures. Administrative roles got 928,904. So that was 19.58% of her expenditures. Now, unclassifiable. Now, for me, and actually like owning a business, that's kind of interesting because unclassifiable could be anything. So that had $792,002. That was 16.69%. Fundraising, so could obviously pay to get these funds. Got $534,989 at 11.27% of her expenditures, and all others, whatever that is 165,852 at 3.49%. Now, what I see from all this, just sheer numbers, is it's a money game, like straight forward. Any sort of senator or congressman, it's got large amounts of money to deal with it. Like, it's a business. they're using their status, their person as a business. There's no other way to put it. It's okay in some way because that's essentially, your brand, who you are. But for me, I find that quite awkward to think that they're able to capitalize on things like that in that manner, and that things are set up in a manner that have to be capitalized like that. But that's neither here nor there. What was interesting is when I started to poke into her legislation. Legislation has a broad spectrum. Now, she has sponsored 84 bills, meaning that this is something that she has possibly written or in terms try to bring that position to Congress or Senate. Now, she has co-sponsored 617 bills, which is kind of funny because that's the Boston area code, 617. Now, out of those 617 bills, they seem to be like rapid firing them in since last year. And most of these are Democratic bills that she has co-sponsored. And they have a wide variety of things that she co-sponsors. Some of them are to secure a supply of drugs to the U.S. Some of them are for biomedical innovation. Some of them deal with structure. Some of them deal with IRS code. Some of them deal with public policy. It's a huge spectrum, and some of what I don't really think I would agree with. It's kind of interesting. So for me, after checking and seeing all of this and seeing how this is somebody that the state of Massachusetts is voted into office, it's really quite eye-opening, to be honest with you. And I'm kind of glad that I was able to look at this and now know how to go about this. I really do see how a lot of this information is gathered from IRS tax information and perhaps not something that's like privy information. So there is a large possibility that this is just a minimal amount that we actually see. This is perhaps some bookkeeping magic. It seems like with zero debt, $3,450,000 in the bank, and you just going to school and being a senator, there's obviously a bit more business in the background beyond a name, but that's just sheer assumption at this point, and it's probably across the board. So, for me, I think in a business aspect, if somebody was to get into any sort of politics, that it seems like it's a very profitable position to get into. So, I thank everybody for listening to me, and I'm actually, you know, rather pleased with Elizabeth Warren being our senator. It's somebody that I think has stuck up for education and has helped bring a couple things to the table that previous administrations perhaps were slacking on. Like the mass grant. Mass grant's huge. That's something that helps pay for education for people who do not have education, especially a college degree. And I think that is a huge step in the direction that the United States needs to go. There's also other things too that I feel like are good in manners the way that are handled compared to previous administrations. But I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you. Bye.